All right, y'all, listen. Hurricane Michaela has landed. We are huddling because we don't want to get hit by the storm. We'll be back to talk about it in just a moment. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is, of course, Conversations with the Crawlies, where we have conversations about faith, family, relationships, and recaps of some of our favorite shows. And y'all know what this one's all about. Y'all been waiting on this. We've been talking about it coming up. This is the latest episode of Married at First Sight, Season 13 in Houston, and Hurricane Michaela has landed. All right, but let's jump into it. Let's talk about a few of the other
before
couples.
it went back up.
Okay. As always, if this is your first time, welcome to the squad. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Throwing me off here. Request notifications, and we'll see you in the comments and
share.
We're going to get it together. There's a lot to talk about in this. Really quick, one of our shout outs. We do always a shout out to one of our subscribers and commenters, Nini B. She asked a question. She a little long. I'll put it part of it. Won't read the whole thing. But she said, I asked you the question last season about Chris, so I have to ask again. If you had a daughter in Bow's position being treated as such by Johnny, what advice would you give her? Great question. I'll address it real quick. I think one of the key things, and I think it came out in this episode, we'll kind of get into it. Bao saw some of this behavior with her mother. Mm-hmm. So that's what she experienced. So in some respects, even though she didn't like it, it was normalized. Mm-hmm. My daughter has never seen me fuss out her mother. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean, in fact, our daughter has looked at us and like, y'all are strange because we have a great relationship, right? So the advice I would give to my daughter would simply be, pursue what you've seen, not what is attaching itself to you. So if you've seen your father respect your mother, that's the type of person you should be, right?
Or should pursue.
Right.
Okay.
Pursue what you've seen, what you've seen for the 20 plus years that she's been on the earth. Pursue that and not the trash that would be like what Johnny is doing to Bao.
And also you have to say, is this thing that is temporary and a norm, or is this something that happened out of whatever hurt,
right?
Because people do say stuff they shouldn't say, not condoning it, but most of the time when you tell them that it's hurtful, then they try to make changes and don't do the same thing. So the question is, can you trust that this person is not going to continue after you explain to them this is your boundary that you don't want crossed, that you're going to treat me with respect? And if they seem they can't respect you and keep that boundary, then that's when they have to make an exit.
Deuces. All right. So let's jump into just the recap of everything that went down. Rachel and Jose, they're in love. They're in love. They're still going okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't listen.
Right. Well,
we've known that.
He listens, but he continues to talk.
He likes to hear himself talk.
Right. Yes. Because she was mentioning that she had a cat, and then he at some point acknowledged that he hears something and go, oh, so you are listening to me, but you just like to talk.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, pretty much. He's like, work on that.
Yeah. Not much else with them this episode.
No, it was too much other stuff going on. Yeah. So they had their moments at the end, and they're like, you know how when you point, like, I'm glad we're not like that couple.
Right.
So I'm good with what we have. It's funny how, like, you get a couple that acts out in front of you, and you're like, whoo, I missed a bullet somewhere.
Our stuff ain't as bad as that.
Right. You're like, yeah. Okay, we're good. We're good. I love you.
We okay.
We're okay.
All right. And then Marilyn and Gil, again, not a whole lot from them. She did almost break her neck coming in.
Right. And she didn't even have a heel. She had a wedge. So she just didn't step right. So, right. But it's funny. She's talking about this is kind of her roots of growing up on a ranch and how she liked horses and different stuff.
Yeah.
And Gil had a healthy fear of horses.
Yeah.
So he's like, this is a big, strong animal.
Right.
And it could crush me or take me off wrong.
I ain't trying to get kicked or bucked by a horse. That's wisdom.
And she wanted to spend more time. She's like, I know you're saying I'm complaining about this. She's like, but I wanted to go on trails and spend more, because she was in her element.
Right.
So I get that. I would hope he would acknowledge that a little bit. Like, I know this is your thing. You want to spend more time.
Because he did say she was a brat.
Right.
And that he asked her, are you ever satisfied?
Right.
Even when you're having fun, you're not having fun.
Right. And she's like, no, I am having fun.
Right.
But I want it to be longer. So, but the thing is, when you do something with some person a long time,
right,
and now they really are just sharing that they want to spend more time with you doing with something they love as a child, you can't differentiate the two because you've seen them disagree or didn't like something.
Be a Debbie Downer, right?
Right.
And to Mirla's credit, she took the feedback.
Right.
She's like, okay, noted. I can take that and I can grow from it. So, Marilyn and Gil are becoming a couple that are, well, not becoming, because I've been saying this for a couple things now. I'm really liking them as a couple.
Oh, you're really liking them now.
I think there's.
Okay.
Well, listen, again, she thawed out. She got a little better. I don't particularly care for sometimes how Gil picks at her.
Right.
I think it's a little too much of an uppercut. Right. But I think that they have something there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like they're working together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's go with Johnny and Bao.
So they decided not to communicate, and that
They
keeps
had
them from fighting.
the best time without each other.
Without communicating. Just being simple, like, how's the weather? How's your weather? Okay. That doesn't resolve anything.
No.
And I'm not gonna lie, there's plenty of marriages like that where we could just talk about the weather. How was work today? If you have kids, that helps you to stay more involved and talk about the kids, but you never get to just talking about you, where you at.
Right.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That Johnny feels comfortable in that, because then you can't work on each other.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Because they have this whole thing. First of all, the farmhouse, barn house, whatever that they're staying at, there are 6 bedrooms, and of course there's 5 couples. So at first they're trying to figure out where they're going to sleep, because at this point when we first come into it, Bao is like, I'm over Johnny. I'm done dealing with him. He a drama queen. I'm through.
I'm gonna have my own room.
Right. So yeah, she ends up having her own room. Johnny sleeps in the other room. And so, but he said his goal is to spend as little time with Bao on that weekend. And it looks like they did that. They did have some interactions, of course.
Yeah, they did have some interactions.
But it was still just like, it was very surface.
Right.
And even at the end, when they're kind of recapping the weekend, they're like, we do great at level 1 conversations.
Right.
Anything beyond that, it's not going to work.
Right.
So, and by the way, Bao needs to never pick up a gun, ever. Ever.
Well, because she just never done it before.
True.
So I would be scared and would really lean on someone who has experience like Ryan, because she's like, how does this work? I'm like, you don't point guns. I know that. Right. And then you got to make sure the safety on it. And it wasn't when she was trying to like figure it out.
Yeah, she did.
So it was scary.
Yeah.
But
and she's tiny too, so.
She is small. But that chick, if you put her in a situation, if she need to use a gun, I believe she'll pull it on you.
Yeah.
Bao's gonna pull it on you.
Bao, yeah. All right. And then Brett and Ryan, the couple that up to this point, really, there's not been a lot, because they just aren't connecting. Right. On the way up, Brett at least tries to have the conversation with Ryan. And she talks about the conversation that she had with Ryan's sister. And now what she did was she kind of put a statement out there, but she didn't ask the question. So there's this pause, because he's like,
why would she say that?
Where'd that come from? Why would she say that?
Where'd she get that from?
So, of course, their issue is that he's not feeling comfortable with her. He's not really, he says he's going to try. And in fact, he says this weekend he was going to try, and he's been making the effort, because then there's this scene where, or this thing where they're trying to figure out where everybody going to sleep. And he's like, well, we'll sleep in the same bed. She's like, wait, what?
We ain't faking.
Oh, whoa.
We're going to keep it 100.
That,
We 100.
yeah.
We 100 in the apartment. We're 100 on the ranch. So you sleep on the couch since there's no 2 rooms for us, and I'm going to take this bed and go to bed. Okay? Okay.
Because he's basically like, I'm going to put forth my effort in. And he even tells, I forget who he's telling, but he's like, I put forth the effort and she's not putting forth the effort. Dude, we got 12 days until y'all make a decision.
Yeah, was that 4 weeks gone by?
No, we're what? So they have what? It's 8 weeks, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
So,
or 6 weeks gone by?
Yeah, so
it's like 6 weeks.
We're 6/8 of the way done, right? 3/4 of the way done. We're 75% done.
6 weeks.
Dude, you gonna now get upset because she ain't putting forth effort?
He was sitting around with the guys.
Right.
So it was
Zach.
Zach was like, so you didn't sleep in the same room
in Houston.
And she says, no, why are you upset now? And he goes, I don't know.
Like, that's a good question.
Well, you're upset because you're trying and now she's giving up.
Right.
That's why you're upset.
And then he also says
last minute
to someone else or he says to her that she's causing a scene because she had an issue with him saying that they would sleep in the same bed. So again, he's now passing the buck on, it's your fault now.
Well, and you're like, is that a scene? Because later on, we're going to see a theme.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, this is not a scene.
Right.
That was so low key compared to other scenes that's coming up. You didn't even show a scene. Y'all was just talking. And she said, no.
She said, no, we
that's not, no, we're not sleeping in the same bed. In the same voice. She was monotone. Her voice didn't even raise.
Yeah.
But it goes back to question, like, how was his childhood? Was it always that he never had a voice? Was he mostly muted as a child? Was there more aggressive women in his life that he felt like he can't say and be honest and open? I mean, that could be a good question.
It's possible.
It's possible.
And then there is a scene where the other couples, everybody kind of does a tribute, if you will, to Brett's dog that died, right?
Yeah, that was
They
sweet.
Give her some cookies and they do sparklers and everything. They do kind of like a memorial for the dog, which was great. So again, it does show that they are bonding as a group and a unit.
Yeah.
And yeah. All right. Y'all ready? Because
y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready.
So Michaela and Zach.
Bless their hearts.
Zach and Michaela.
Bless them, Lord. Help them.
All right. So when they start off, it is the first time they're seeing each other since the blow up last week. Right?
Yes.
And so they're heading to the ranch. Now, what I will give them credit for and what I think was great was that they stopped on the way and said, let's have a conversation. Let's figure some things out. Let's kind of talk through.
Right.
Before we get into this scenario where we're with everybody else. Let's figure out us. Awesome. Good
I
job.
applaud it. I was like, oh, wow, that's a great idea. Great idea.
Yeah.
Start the weekend off right because you didn't spend time together. Great job.
Yep. And she talks about how they learn that they need to better communicate with each other. Well, duh. Because, listen.
It's ongoing.
They both suck at communication.
Oh, yeah.
They are horrible at communication.
Yeah.
So he does want to make sure, though, that they're sleeping in the same bed
right
when they go. Listen, it must be really good. Is really concerned about sleeping in the same bed with Michaela as much as possible. I'm going to just leave it at that.
I don't have anything to say, but let's go continue on.
Yeah, we're going to keep this PG.
Continue on.
All right. So then they're at dinner and they are, they're saying that they're in a good space. They're in dinner with everybody, all the couples.
Gave great advice.
They were giving phenomenal advice to the other couples. Didn't apply to themselves.
Again, we can see other people and what they need to do before we can see ourselves and what we need to do. That's not uncommon in couples. Your girlfriend calling you giving her all the advice in the world, and you hang up, and you do opposite of that when you're talking to your own spouse.
Right. You can see other people's issues before you can see yours. Right. The Bible talks about, addressing the splinter in your eye before you deal with somebody, or dealing with the plank in your eye before you deal with somebody else's splinter. Right.
Right.
So they do a great job of helping other people navigate their issues.
Right.
They suck at getting their own issues taken care of, right? So then they do have some fun playing cornhole. You can see that when they're having fun, when they're good, they're good.
And I wouldn't call it good, they're good. Okay, I got you. We're just having fun and hanging out. But when we need to really talk about our feelings or our issues at the moment, for them, they don't know what they're saying.
True. But when I say they're good, they're good. When they're having fun, when the focus is just to enjoy each other, they're good.
But they're just enjoying each other. They're playing a game.
But even when they were at the goat farm or whatever, they were good, right? It's when they start to have conversations that go beyond surface level, kind of like Johnny and Bao, right? When they get past that surface level, that's when you start to recognize that, oh, y'all both got issues, right? And so they're sitting there having this conversation, and
that's continuing from the night before,
right? And so basically what we find out, as far as what they kind of say, is that they've decided to get a divorce, take a break, and then come back and figure it out. And she begins to kind of ask the question, because she's like, I don't think we realized how hard work marriage was. And he's like, oh, I knew marriage was hard work. I didn't know it was going to be this hard married to you. I wasn't coming into this naive. I knew this was going to be some work, but I know I was going to have to do work dealing with a piece of work.
Okay. And I don't think with anyone it is going to be harder work than you think, because you're going to have to compromise.
Right.
And I've been noticing this, that a lot of couples say this in a lot of the seasons. I'm changing. I don't feel myself. Anytime you meet new people, that brings new ideas to help you improve yourself, or for you to realize some of your own issues, is going to change you.
Yeah.
So wanting to stay the same and keep all these issues shouldn't be a good thing. I'm losing.
You're going to change, period. I mean, who we are now at 25 years of marriage is not the same people we were at year 2 or year 10.
And we shouldn't be.
Right.
Because once you notice something in me and I'm like fighting these years to be the same, it's causing conflict, it's causing division in our marriage and having hard times. And then I come to the realization like, oh, I get it. And I decide to change that to better myself personally, to better our marriage. I should want that.
Yeah.
Instead of wanting to fight to stay the same. And they don't see that. At all.
So basically, he kind of in Zackese, right?
Zackese.
Because Zach has his own language and way of communicating. He basically talks about the fact that, again, that they should be better trying to work things out when they're not married than trying to just work through their marriage. And I get kind of what he's saying, because there is the pressure of being in front of the cameras and having your entire relationship play out in front of the cameras. Get it, right? We've seen couples in previous seasons that did well once they got from in front of the cameras.
Right.
And we've seen couples that completely folded after they left the cameras, right? But Michaela, at first I was like, is that a bug that's coming at her or what? Because she was like...
Because he wasn't making sense.
Yes.
About the part of them still being in a relationship,
right.
being the same people. Only thing changes, they're not committed because they would have a divorce, right. But be in a relationship. Instead of saying, babe, I'm going to repeat this to you. This is what you just said. And what I hear you saying by you saying this doesn't make sense.
Right.
But she got so frustrated that she's like, I don't understand because that don't make sense to me. She got frustrated.
Yeah.
And it became very overwhelming to her.
Right. Which then became overwhelming to Zach.
Him. Right.
Because Zach is like, whoa.
Don't come at me like that.
You went from here to here.
Right.
And I don't know what's about to happen because I'm a little afraid.
Because it sounds like he needs someone to have patience with him. Because even though you can be very highly intelligent and you can know how to do a lot of different things, when you're trying to communicate something to someone else,
right.
you can't get it out of your head right.
Right.
And I think I would rather her repeat back to her and then tell her what it means to her.
Right.
Then, babe, if you need to process that, I'm going to let you process it. Because that don't make sense.
Right. And so we also hear her say that her version of the conversation the previous night is that Zach said that he was not ready for marriage and had to work on himself. So somewhere in there, there's a truth, right? That either Zach has recognized he was not ready for marriage, which I completely agree.
Both of them really
weren't, to be honest. But Zach has recognized that he wasn't ready for marriage and needs to work on himself. Or because this whole thing about let's divorce, let's break up, let's take a little time apart, and then let's work on this together, work on this as, moving forward.
It doesn't work. Because see, this is what we don't realize is that no one's ever ready for marriage.
True. Very true.
It's like saying, I'm ready to have a baby. Now, you could be financially, you could feel like you're mature. But at the end of the day, once the baby comes, especially you don't know if they have medical issues. Right. You don't know all the things that are just unseen. You are never ready for it.
Right.
And you don't know what that person's going to bring out of you. And so you don't even know what to go to therapy for sometimes. You don't know what to go to therapy for until you have that person in your life to say, I need therapy for the anxiety. The woman calls me when she gets upset, when she doesn't understand me. I need therapy because every time he say he's going to leave me, my abandonment issues come up, But see, it's like, and how people perceive it. It's just crazy.
I'm just going to say Zach and Michaela can both they can just ask for all the footage from this and say, help me fix this.
Right.
Because that's, like you mentioned, she does mention she has her abandonment issues. And I think that's what sparked what we're going to talk about in a few moments as far as the whole blow up, right?
Well, and who puts someone with a person that flees with a person who has abandonment issues? These doctors, y'all need to write this stuff down. When you have an argument, do you flee? Are you afraid of people leaving you? Don't put them together. You put someone who flees every time. Well, I don't need to be here. What? I'm afraid to be alone. This is who you stick me with? It's like, why?
Okay.
She almost needed Gil. And unfortunately, Gil couldn't have enough patience probably. I mean, maybe he would have, but he might have had enough patience.
Yeah.
But he's so direct. See, and this is the thing. It's like, you can never get the mixture right. That's why people want to create their own man or woman in a machine, because you're looking for a mixture of this and a mixture of that.
That would be an interesting pairing, Gil and Michaela. That'd be interesting. Because I think, we're kind of sidetracking here. But
I know.
I think that Gil would have been like, you done?
Right.
You finished?
Right.
Can we finish up now?
Can we finish up right now? Right.
Whereas Zach does check out. Zach
right.
does. If he's not crying, he's checking out.
Right. Right. I guess so. Gil's like, that's not acceptable.
You finished or you done?
You're not going to be talking this way.
It'd be interesting. All right. So the couples all do have a game of, they do a thing, most likely, right? Just like you did in your high school yearbook. And they did most likely. So most likely they have kids first is definitely Rachel because Jose, yeah. Most likely to do rehab is Johnny. Yeah. Most likely to party early was Mirla.
Yeah.
Most likely to be a drama queen. They didn't say who the other nominees were, but Bao is like Johnny.
I thought they put Michaela on there too.
Did they? They may have, but
oh no, she got petty.
Yeah, but Bao was like, no, she gave him a crown and everything. No, Johnny is the drama queen. And then for petty, there was a toss up between Rachel and Michaela.
Right.
And we know Michaela is still your seasonings petty.
Right, your seasoning. Right.
She gonna take the seasonal salt. She gonna take the cumin. Right.
Right. Gil said like she'll pull the battery out of the smoke detector.
And Michaela's like, yeah, she owns it, right? She starts saying, yeah, she starts giving some of the other things that she'll do. She'll take the compressor belt off or whatever, right? She'll do whatever it takes to be petty. But if you in that scenes though, you see Zach start to get a little like,
I don't want that in a wife. She playing, dude.
Right.
I mean, she can't be petty, but at the same time, you seen her have growth.
Right.
So why are you getting cut up? Like, oh my God, I can't have that in a wife. Calm down.
Right. Relax.
Calm down.
Relax. You survived having those seasonings for a few days. You'll be okay. It's all right. Okay.
It should never get like that.
So then at the, later that night, they're getting ready for bed.
Right.
And Michaela senses that he's kind of like having a mood swing again, right? And so she's like, okay, basically, what did I do now? Because we kind of talked about what happened earlier. So what have I done since then to you?
Well, they didn't deal with it.
True.
They didn't. Bao talked to her, and then he asks, Zach asked, hey, you want to turn in the bed? Let's go to the bedroom.
Okay.
And she said, okay. And then he started off a little bit, and she was like, she asked him that question.
Yes.
And I thought she was going to come like, hey, she did say, hey, I talked to Bao. Right. But she never got to the point of. Because
Bao did give her some good advice a little earlier, right? Bao was basically like, why are you pushing him away? Why are you, right? So Bao is being that good friend. Right. Don't know how too good of a friend she's being, right? Yeah. But Bao was being that good friend and saying, trying to help them with their relationship. And so basically they get into this thing of where he's like, I'm gonna leave. She's like, well, go. Leave. Go. He's like, but I'm staying around because I want to make sure you have way. Don't worry about me. I'll find a way home. Right? She even calls her sister.
I have an issue with.
Say the issue. Go ahead.
I have an issue when you start bringing in your family into this.
Yes.
I get that you may want some insight into the person you're marrying, but every time they're having a fight, we're starting to hear that they're talking to all their family. Right. She's like, yeah, I talked to your brothers. I talked to my sister, and trying to figure each other out. And family members are trying to calm each one of them. I would be like this if I was a family member. Like, they give me one more call, I'm about to, because I think. I'm sorry. The way I do it, I just wouldn't answer. After certain points, I wouldn't answer. And let them try to resolve it on their own. Because I just feel like if my sister called me and she's in the middle of fighting with my brother-in-law, hey, call me when you're done. Right. You're not going to call me in the middle and put me in the middle of your fight. Right. and give it 24, 48 hours before you call me.
Right. Now, again, this is if you're having a verbal discussion, disagreement, argument, what have you.
Don't put me in the middle of it.
Right,
I don't want to be in the middle of that.
But I'm also saying we also recognize that if there's something else going on where it's escalated beyond that, yeah, you want to reach out to whomever you can reach out to, what have you. But in this situation, what we're seeing from Michaela and Zach, they need to leave other people out of it.
They need to leave the house. If it escalates to violence, someone leaves the home, or you call for some authorities to come, and someone needs to get arrested. If someone puts someone's hands on each other, you don't call me because I'm not going to jail for you.
And especially in this situation, because they're not in Houston, they're out in someplace in the middle of Texas.
And she told me to come and get her. I'd be like, Zach, you said you're gonna take her home. Oh, okay. Y'all be good enough to get home together. Work it out. Because in 2 days, y'all going to be lovey-dovey. But again, we talked about, I'm going to have different feelings because I'm a relative. Like, here we go again.
Because if all I hear about your spouse or your significant other in the worst time that you guys are having issues, then that forms my opinion as your family member.
Right.
That now I'm always looking at that person suspect when you're back lovey-dovey with that person.
Right. I'm looking at you sideways while y'all kissing on the couch. Right. But you calling me, it's late at night. You calling me at 11 o'clock, and then 2 days from now, y'all holding hands on the couch, and you talking about you love them?
Nowhere, Texas, right? Okay.
And she tried,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, they ain't in Houston, right? Right. They outside of there. All right.
No place is safe.
Especially in Texas. All right. Anyway. So they go through this whole thing, and then Michaela, she's like, I'll ride back with you. And Zach interprets that as, you want to ride back with me. She's like, I'll ride back with you. And she then starts to turning into, I don't want you to leave this late at night.
She's like, she comes to her senses in a sense. Right. She's like, hold on. I know I told you to go ahead and go, but hold on. You're a black man in a 2-door BMW at 11:30 at night. And I'm assuming maybe
in Texas.
Probably maybe 2.5 hour ride or something. Texas. Yeah. In the middle of nowhere. Why don't you just kind of sleep it off first thing in the morning when it's light, then go.
Break out, go.
And go then. It's just safer.
Right.
And then he goes, I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm going to take my chances. I'd rather be out in the dark and take my chances and getting whatever than to be in this room with you any longer. It's pretty much what he said.
Yeah.
I'm interpreting by him saying, I'd rather leave in the middle of nowhere with my black self and find my way back to my home than to stay here with you.
Yes. So he leaves. Well, he gets his suitcase. He goes out the door. Somehow, Michaela gets his suitcase and starts rolling it back in. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. I want to see who caught that. All right. But anyway, meanwhile, Bao is like all over there like.
I was looking at like, ooh, I didn't know Michaela could get like that. Okay, let me close it. Ooh, they going back at it. Ooh,
So right. I'm curious how much of that editing was because of the rumors about Bao and Zach. Because it's like, Bao is all over the place.
I don't think Zach would be trying anything while
not there. No, not while they're there. But I'm just saying how much they featured Bao looking around, because it was like every time you look, they're panning the camera. They're keeping Bao kind of in the scene. I don't know. Anyway,
that's a stretch.
Okay, it's a stretch. Fine. All right. So then,
are you done? Are you finished?
So then. Basically Zach is still heading out the door. He's finally now to the car, letting everybody know, I'm leaving, I'm going out, I'm heading out. Even the other couples are like, dude,
whoa.
Stay.
You're black, man.
Right.
You didn't forgot you're black.
Even Ryan's like, dude, that don't make sense.
Man, I'm 15 minutes from here. I think you should wait till the morning.
So he leaves.
And they said they almost had him de-escalated.
Right.
Until
Michaela came out.
Hurricane came out. Full force.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you stop him? If y'all gonna tell him he shouldn't be leaving, Ryan, why don't you get in the car? Ryan like, hold on, black woman. First of all,
Time out.
he a grown man. We already tried this, but you coming out starting this. Well, we already had it fixed.
We had him down here, and you just brought him back up here.
So I need you. Why don't you go?
You go. So she goes back into the barn house. And when I tell you the stuff that she was throwing and flipping, and
it would have been worse if I think she knew, like, I'm not paying for this. This is not my stuff.
Right.
We gonna push it around, but I can't break because production and producers are gonna send me a bill.
Right. And here's the thing. One, did she overreact? Yes. Two, part of it, not all of it, but part of it, I believe, was out of concern for him going in the middle of the night. Yeah. But also, as we talked about, there's her abandonment issue. So now we have her feeling abandoned by him once again, right? And now that we hear her say that she has abandonment issues, that again now reinforces why she had the reaction at the very beginning when she threw down the Clorox wipes and when he left to take the dog, right?
And he still don't understand that.
Yeah.
So every time she says leave, that's her cue not to leave. Don't leave. That's the cue. That's the cue.
That's the cue. So then, of course, the couples the next morning Michaela's sister also came to pick her up. So the next morning there were
anybody all y'all in the same apartment, aren't y'all?
They in the same complex.
I'd be like,
He could have rolled back with Bao and Johnny. She wasn't going to interrupt with nothing with Bao and Johnny.
I'm like, it sounds like you about to finish because I'm not coming to get you. I'm sorry. You stay in your room, get something to eat, stay in your room the whole time. And then when they're ready to leave, you need to leave.
Yeah.
That's called tough love.
So we'll see what happens next week. I don't know why we're still having Michaela and Zach show up, because I think it's quite obvious that they're done. But
the trailer showing her saying she loves him.
Right. So again, we'll see. We're really probably 2 episodes away from decision day, because we're at 12 days now. So we'll kind of see what things look like. But let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. Let us know if you were impacted by Hurricane Michaela. Where there should be an 800 number for all of those that have been displaced by Michaela's hurricane. And that's it for this one. We'll see you all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed. See you next time.
Peace.